Gravel had always been fond of silence. In the vast, lonely reaches of space, silence was a familiar friend. He never thought he'd miss it so much. The silence ended the day they found Earth. Gravel was a Glynn, a tactical scout among the Triar fleet. He remembered the eerie tension as his crew descended through thick clouds, the alien planet visible for the first time in millennia. His nerves were on edge, not from the mission he'd carried out 100 covert explorations, but because he knew he was on the cusp of something legendary. Gravel remembered the stories, the whispered tales of a race who had once roared across the stars, humanity. No one knew why they vanished. Some said it was a natural cataclysm, others believed they destroyed themselves in one of their legendary wars, and others said, well, they said humanity had simply left, that someday somewhere they'd return. When the Triar fleet located Earth, it looked as though all those rumors would remain unanswered. The cities lay in silent ruins. Buildings that scraped the heavens were hushed, blanketed by dust. And everywhere bones, bodies perfectly preserved by some unknown technology, resting in deep sleep beneath the cities in rows of silver capsules. It was Shrex, Gravel's younger brother, who had found the first human. I think he's breathing, Shrex had stammered, his voice a thin thread in the silence. Gravel, he's alive. The man they awakened called himself a liar. It was a strong old name, unlike the trillings and hums of Glynn language, and when Ilir spoke, the words felt heavy with years. His face, still pale from millennia in stasis, bore the telltale signs of age, wrinkles that hinted at wisdom, but eyes sharp, fierce with knowledge. "Why am I awake?" Ilir asked, his voice rough with disuse. Gravel noticed that Ilir didn't sound afraid, only confused and deeply annoyed. "Welcome, human," Gravel said, swallowing his nerves. "I am Gravel, a Glynn of the Trihar. We have found you and your people. We thought humanity was lost." Elir's eyes narrowed. "Lost? I don't remember being lost. I remember we were preparing. Where are the others?" Gravel cleared his throat. "There are more of your people, still in stasis, but before we revive them, we must understand why you were placed in this state." Ilir's face softened, his mind stirring, lost in thought. "We went to sleep because we had to. The wars, they took everything from us. We had to preserve what was left." He paused, looking past Gravel to the capsule-strewn hall. We hoped for a time when we could wake up, free from that burden." Gravel sensed a quiet anger in him, coiled like a serpent, a warning that this man, these humans, were not to be trifled with. When Ilir insisted on waking more of his people, Gravel's crew hesitated. They knew humanity's power was the stuff of legend. Their technology was rumored to be deadly, their strength unmatched. Even their minds were said to hold untapped reserves of cunning and resilience, surpassing anything an alien race had encountered. The Glynn tactician Danis finally spoke up, the gruff, scarred veteran voicing the question lingering on everyone's minds. "What if we're waking up a threat?" Gravel shook his head. "I don't think so. If humanity had wanted us dead, we'd already be ashes. We owe it to them, to their legend, to see what they have to offer." Shrex, the youngest of their group, added, "Besides, I think we need them." It was true. The Trihar fleet had been bogged down in its own struggles for centuries, intergalactic wars, dwindling resources, and political betrayals. Gravel knew that if humanity's legends were real, then waking them up was their only shot. The humans awoke quickly. Ilir and a handful of others raging. A tall, intense man with piercing eyes, Kor, an unflinching soldier with a scar slicing across his jaw, and Terran, a quiet engineer with fingers that moved like clockwork. They accepted their surroundings with remarkable composure, noting changes, analyzing the new technology around them. Gravel found himself oddly attached to this strange group. Ilir and Rajan were discussing old weapons one evening, recounting tactics from wars so ancient they felt like myths. Gravel sat nearby, observing, but they gestured for him to join. "Your people have wars?" Rajan asked. "Serious wars, I mean, the kind that shape you." Gravel nodded slowly. "We fought, yes, but nothing on the scale you describe. Our people have become cautious." Ilir smiled a little. "Caution is wise, but sometimes caution can be your undoing. How do you face what you can't foresee? The things you can't plan for?" Gravel felt a chill. Ilir's eyes bore into his, intense, assessing, as if the man could see straight into his soul. "What do you mean?" Gravel asked. Ilir leaned back, arms folded. "It's like this. You're at the edge of the unknown, right? That's why you woke us up, but the unknown won't wait for you to understand it. And that's where we come in. As days passed, the crew grew fond of their human guests. Earlier taught Shrex the art of hand-to-hand combat, though Shrex was nearly twice his size. The humans, for their part, displayed an uncanny willingness to engage. They wanted to know about the stars, the conflicts across galaxies, and the cultures that now thrived in their absence. Then came the first warning report from a Trihar ship that had detected an anomaly at the edge of their system. Gravel's communicator buzzed. It was Danis. "Gravel, you're not going to believe this. We have company. The Kindrel, the scourge of the Triar." Gravel's heart sank. The Kindrel were ruthless, a race that conquered without hesitation, erasing any civilization they deemed a threat. Elir overheard. "These Kindrel," he said slowly, "are they a real threat?" Gravel nodded, grim, the worst kind. "If they find us, they'll attack, no questions asked." Ragin clenched his fists. "Then they're our problem now, too." Dana scoffed. "Humans fighting the Kindrel. You're barely out of those capsules. You'd be nothing but a footnote." Elir's face darkened, his voice steady. "Then make us more than a footnote." The plan that followed was pure madness. The Glen were accustomed to fighting with precision strikes and tactical retreats, relying on strategy over brute force. But Ilir and his comrades had a different idea, faced the enemy head-on. They combined the Triar's advanced weaponry with ancient human battle tactics, creating something neither race could have managed alone. The Kindrel's fleet arrived within days. Massive ships blotted out the stars, bristling with weapons. Gravel's stomach twisted. This was it. But the humans were ready. The battle was brutal. Elir, Ragin, Kor, and Terran took the lead, working seamlessly as a unit. They flew through the Kindrel ranks like lightning, outthinking the enemy at every turn. Gravel and his crew followed suit, inspired by their ferocity. At one point, Gravel's ship took a direct hit, systems failing. He watched in horror as a Kindrel warship bore down on them, ready to deliver the final blow. And then Ragin's voice crackled through his comms. "Hold tight, Glen." Ragin's ship streaked across Gravel's view, firing relentlessly, buying Gravel's crew the time they needed to stabilize. When the dust settled, Ragin's ship was damaged, but he was grinning, shouting at the top of his lungs. "Now, that's a fight." The Kindrel were routed, leaving behind nothing but wreckage. The crew gathered in the aftermath, nursing wounds and savoring their improbable victory. Gravel found Elir leaning against a console, gazing at the remnants of the Kindrel fleet with a calm expression. "Was it always like this for you?" Gravel asked. "Fighting against odds this insane?" Elir chuckled, though it held a trace of sorrow. "Maybe not always, but when the stakes were high enough, yes. We weren't called the apex species for nothing." Ragin joined them, his face alive with excitement. "Gravel, you and your team fought well. I'd fly with you any time." Dana stepped forward, pride in his eyes, though he tried to hide it. "And I'd have the humans on my side in any fight." Shrex laughed, slapping Elir on the back. "You guys are legends. And I don't mean just the stories." Elir nodded, a somber look on his face. "Legends are nice, but legends fade. We're back now. That means something." When the battle reports reached the Trihar leadership, they issued strict orders to return the humans to stasis. They feared the power humanity represented, the chaos they might bring, but Gravel, along with the entire crew, argued fiercely against it. "These humans saved us," Gravel said to his superiors. "We've lost too much, forgotten too many lessons. We need them now more than ever." In the end, a compromise was reached. The humans would remain, but only in limited numbers, working with the Triar fleet as advisors and strategists. Gravel couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, that humanity's return would echo far beyond anything the galaxy had yet seen. Elir clasped Gravel's hand in parting, his grip firm and warm. "Keep an eye on the horizon, Glen," he said. "Humanity's not just a legend anymore." And with that, they parted ways, knowing that somewhere out there the next battle awaited one they'd face together.